Hey family, it's your girl Wisdom, and we are back with another episode. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys are getting your rest. I hope you are creating. And if not, this is the perfect video for you because on today's episode, we are talking about how to stay motivated as an artist. Now, I got a major bone to be picking with some of y'all because I have been getting this question for like the past 2 weeks from emerging artists and new people that are interacting with me on TikTok, on Instagram, and no shade, no shade, no shade, no shade. But why the hell y'all not motivated? What y'all doing right now that is keeping you from your art practice? Some food for thought. I'm gonna need you to journal about that later. Thank you very much. For the past few days, people have been coming in and they've been asking me, how do you stay motivated as an artist when you have no motivation at all? And to be quite fair, I really didn't have an answer to this question at first because I always feel motivated to like do my artwork. And I feel like the question was more so stemming from how do you stay motivated when you don't have motivation, was stemming from like, how do you stay motivated when you're having a hard day or when challenges arise? And I would definitely say in a general sense, I'm always motivated because I'm always inspired. I always want to create. Me creating comes from a pure place for me where I'm just passionate about what I do because it doesn't feel like it's a job. And a lot of people right now are creating because it's a job, right? They're not creating from wholesome places and being inspired, right? But how to stay motivated when you have a challenging day and how to stay motivated when times get hard. Honestly, going to my artwork is my safe haven. So it's more so about like when I'm having a challenging day, I go to my artwork in order to release whatever energy is tied to whatever I'm experiencing in my personal life. Use your artwork as a tool, use your artwork as a way to escape from the things that you have no control over. In order for you to lock in and start channeling and start creating from a place where you can just release. And whether this being artwork, whether this is you writing poetry, writing stories, whether this is you doing sculpting work or dancing, whatever the case may be, you are using your artistic practice in order to keep pushing yourself, And I feel like that's an important thing when you are building a relationship with your artistic practice to begin with. When it comes to motivation, you got to figure out what is it. And by definition, motivation is a reason or reasons why somebody does or acts a certain way. And you got to define what your motivation looks like. And everybody's motivation is going to look different. No matter how you try to put it, all of our motivations and the reason why we do certain things is going to look different. Some people are motivated because they got kids. They want to put food on the table for their children. Other people are motivated by money and numbers, right? We'll talk about them people in a little bit. And then sometimes you may be motivated because you want to get yourself out of a sticky situation. Motivation can come from that too, and that motivation can change, especially when you get out of that sticky situation. I am a walking testimony of that, But you got to figure out what that looks like for you. And I would definitely say, for anybody that's like new here or anybody that wants to try something new when it comes to this, I would definitely journal about this. Figure out your reasons. What are your reasons why you create? What are the reasons why you do your art? Is it simply just because you're passionate? And be honest. Are you doing it just to make money? And if you want to change the reason why, figure out a reason to change it. You got to see what works best for you. You got to figure out what the energy tied to your motivation is. And as you grow, that energy will change. And it's just like setting an intention on something. Your intentions and the reasons why you do certain things always changing. And you have to you have to allot yourself the time to figure out what that is. And sometimes you might not know the reason why you do something. And maybe you're just driven to do it because you just want to get up and do it. And then after the fact, you figure out, oh, the reason why I do this all the time is because of this. And that may come over a course of time. So even if you don't figure out the reason why you do something, or you don't figure out your motivation right here, right now, allow it to come to you through your creations. Allow it to come through you through being inspired by other people. When I would get asked this question in a general sense, my motivation stems from me. Like, my motivation is me having a relationship with myself and wanting to know more about me, wanting to understand my connection to the world, my connection with my ancestors, my connection to myself, and how I can grow with myself on a daily basis. Like, I am really like enthralled in self-awareness and healing and tapping into oneself and emotions, and knowing how I feel and how that can be expressed in different ways. And yeah, I'm motivated by me because I have a commitment to myself. That's my motivation. Knowing that every day that I wake up, no matter how I feel, it's a commitment to myself. Whatever I choose to do today, am I keeping that commitment to myself of making sure I can be the best that I can be? And that practice within my art is like, did I show up today with my artwork? Whether I paint it for 15 minutes or if I paint it for 5 hours, did I show up today? Or even if I didn't paint, did I do some research, and did I watch a documentary about artwork, or did I join somebody's live today and did I get inspired today? Like, there are so many ways where you can stay motivated. And I feel like people always try to limit what motivation should look like. You gotta get up at 5 a.m. in the rising, and you gotta work out, and you gotta be painting for 72 hours straight when there's only 24 hours in a day. Like, they tie all these material things to what you gotta be motivated by. Or you gotta get up and you gotta post 3 videos a day in order to stay intact with your artwork. Like, my motivation is not gonna be the same as your motivation. My creative journey, artistic journey is not gonna look the same as yours. You gotta figure out what it is that works best for you, and stop allowing the internet to tell you what it should be and what you should be motivated by. And that gets into the material things when it comes to motivation. Do not be motivated by analytics, the numbers, and the validation of people on the internet. Do not be motivated by that, because if that is your sole foundation, your motivation is going to be all up over the place. Like, you're not going to be motivated at all, because that is forever changing. You could literally post something on your TikTok or your Instagram, and then all of a sudden people be like, I don't like it. Or somebody's going to have something negative to say, right? Or some type of critique to say. And if you're motivated by the validation of other people, and then there may be a period where you're experiencing negative comments, or you're not experiencing any comments at all, that's going to stomp you from continuing your practice. And don't put that pressure on yourself as that should be the reason why I continue to create my art. It should not be the reason why. You got to figure out what that is and where it stems from. I would definitely say when I first started, my motivation was something that my grandfather told me. Was I living my life for me? Make sure I live my life and have fun. And I realized I wasn't doing that. And so I thought about, okay, what is the best way for me to be living my life the way that I should be? And that is through my artwork. Like, creating and using my voice, that is through my artwork. And then I realized, like, okay, if I'm creating, that is also me making a commitment to myself that I'm going to do this because it makes me happy, right? And then that motivation is still there, like in the back of my mind, But the motivation has now changed. It's like, okay, I now have a commitment to myself to make sure I'm doing the things that I enjoy, make sure I'm doing the things that makes me happy. And I'm a big believer in consistency, showing up for myself. What does showing up for myself look like? And when it comes to consistency, consistency does not have to be 100% every day, because you cuckoo crazy if you believe that. You cannot be consistent 100% every day. You are going to run your brain rampant. Consistency can literally look like 85% today, 15% tomorrow, and 23% the next day, and then 99% the other day. But it's a simple fact that you decided to show up. And it makes me feel a lot lighter when I realized that was my motivation, having a commitment to myself and being consistent within that commitment, because it didn't allow me to pay attention to things outside of myself, to make sure I stick to my practice. I'm going to stick to my practice regardless, because this is what I love to do. And that's simply just it. And I love being able to wake up every day and find out a new way that I can connect to myself. I can find out a new way to connect with other people. And by doing this, I can create new experiences in my life, and for anybody that has not thought this way, take this as a new approach in what consistency should look like, because you have to figure out what is that balance for you. And only you can do that. Nobody else can tell you that. No matter what I do in life, I cannot get the things that I desire by not showing up. So remaining consistent is going to be a challenge all the time, and they're going to occur. But that foundation of having that commitment to myself and remaining consistent is going to always be the same. I just have to figure out, okay, do I want to put 15 minutes in today and then maybe an hour tomorrow? Who knows? But it's always going to be the same. But we cannot have the expectation of receiving the things that we desire in life without showing up. Point blank, period. If you don't show up, nothing changes. Opportunities don't present themselves. New experiences don't present themselves, regardless of whatever you are motivated by. Okay? If you don't show up to your job, you ain't getting that check. You're not being paid. Simple as that. Now, the bigger question is, if you hate that job and you don't want to be there, then that changes why you cannot remain consistent. That changes your motivation of why you're doing certain things, or the motivation that you have, the reason why you're doing something is no longer in alignment with you. That moves into the bigger conversation that we're about to have, which is most of y'all are doing the things that are not in alignment with y'all. I said it. I love you, but I said it. You are doing something right now that you don't want to be doing. And you give so much attention to that thing. That is the reason why you get to your art and you are not having fun. You don't feel inspired. You don't feel motivated. You don't feel like getting out anything. And also, you're probably not resting. You have not checked in with yourself. You haven't asked yourself how you doing, how you feeling, and you haven't paused, which is the reason why you are not motivated. And that is okay. It's okay. Because you being aware that something's off is the first indication. The second indication is like, okay, well, what practices am I willing to implement in my life? Because maybe I have to keep this job in order to pay for these bills. What are some practices that I can implement in my life to make sure the trajectory is changing, that I am making some slight shift in my life in order to have a different outcome? You cannot stay motivated with a short attention span. Okay, so scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on Instagram, you're not going to be motivated to do anything when you just sat there and spent all your energy doing this, right? Or you can't be motivated when your energy is given to something that you don't even like to do in the first place. So whether this is a job that you're working at or interacting with specific people that are no longer in alignment with you, so whether this is friends, coworkers, managers, does not matter. Or you are engaging in content that goes against how your brain is supposed to be functioning on a day-to-day basis. So if you're watching stuff where it's a whole bunch of action and you watching that all the time. There's a whole bunch of blood and gore and all this other extra stuff. Your brain might be a little messed up right now. You might, those energy transfer. You got to be careful what you watch on the internet. Or if you're engaging in content where you watching the 20 versus 1 all day, don't be watching that. Go get up and paint. Go do something else, please. Come watch me. Watch my videos. Get enlightened for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Or you're engaging in content that's all about gossip. You watching the Shade Room. You looking at what your favorite celebrity is doing all day, but you not making the attempt to do that same thing in your own life, right? Or another big thing when it comes to motivation, you are comparing yourself. You're unmotivated because you are too busy looking at other people's lives and not appreciating your own life to begin with, and appreciating how you can change the course of your own life based off of you looking at somebody else's, and you're like, oh, I wish I could be doing that, but you haven't started with where you're at. One thing about having a reason why, you also have to be able to give gratitude to the place that you're at and respecting the space that you're in right now. Because if you can't respect where you are right now, what makes you think God or your ancestors is going to send you something that you're looking at on the internet from your favorite celebrity? It's just not going to work. People usually do not know how to stay motivated because they are usually doing things that are out of alignment with themselves. So whether this is the food that you eat, the food can make you groggy, right? The content that you watch can make you slumped over. Having a long ass day and that energy not being reciprocated. So maybe you work a job and they not paying you what you know you should be paid, right? So that can make you feel unmotivated to do anything. And that is why I feel it is so important. And shout out to all my content creators that are on high vibrational frequencies right now and they are putting out content. Shout out to you guys and shout out to me, because we are creating these safe spaces where people can check in with themselves. People can no longer feel alone, but also too, people can gain more value and more insight through conversation and having discussions like this. So I hope whatever it is that you get from this video itself, know that this is your first step. You being aware, you acknowledging it and saying, okay, I want to make a change in my life and I got to figure out what that is. It is very important that you do not get caught up in being motivated by the materials of this world. When it comes to your artistry, money is cool. Admiration and recognition and people loving what you do is all great. It is fine and dandy. But if you are solely only motivated by the money, one day that fuse is going to burn out. Okay? It's going to burn out. Especially if you are somebody that wants kids, it's going to change. Especially if you are somebody that's in a spiritual community, that's going to change, right? It changed for me. Especially when I was working with different clients and stuff, and before I became a full-time artist, my motivation was I need to make this money so I can invest into my business. But then once I left, I was like, my motivation is always just me investing in me. And it's always going to be like that. In what ways that are in alignment with me that I can continue investing in bettering myself? And what does that look like? And am I practicing that every day? I cannot tell you what to be motivated by. Nobody can tell you what to be motivated by. But what I can tell you is make sure whatever your reason why is, it makes sense for you. Okay? And don't allow anybody to try to skew you or make you feel your reason why is inaccurate. Because what works for you is what works for you, and what works for me is going to work for me. So a few takeaways that I want to leave you guys with this episode is, number one, be self-driven. Be self-driven. Because being self-driven just means that you can always count on yourself when shit hits the fan. When you're facing challenges or when something comes up and it completely knocks you off your trajectory, you can be able to be like, you know what? I can always fall back on my art and just go create and just release the energy. Make sure you have a way to just keep yourself up and running, as a way just to know, like, I can do this and I got this. So whether this is having affirmations, whether this is journaling, whether this is going to your favorite YouTuber and asking them a question, or telling them like you need some motivation for the day, like it could be any of those things. If people can tell you all day that you got this and you can do this, but you can't even tell yourself that, then what's the point anyway? You know, motivation comes from a place within you, not a place outside of you. All right. Our second one would be, do not be motivated by material things or the validation from others. The energy comes and it goes. If you spend too much time depending on those things in order to push you into your practice or to keep you in your practice, you are going to fall short and you're going to feel like you are doing yourself a disservice. It's very important to understand where that lack of motivation comes from as an artist. Is it stemming from a job that you're working at? Is it stemming from the people that you're interacting with? Is it stemming from you're just tired and you're not giving enough attention to yourself? And is it stemming from creating from a place where it's not in alignment with you anymore? Do you need to work on something new that you haven't done before when it comes to your artistry? Do you need to create in a different way? Do you need to have a different process and how you put things together? Are you forcing yourself to have all this energy all at once while you're creating, and then all of a sudden you feel depleted and you're overworking yourself when it comes to your artistry? So those are just a few things just to bring up. You just got to figure out where that lack of motivation is coming from, and then you move into implementing new ways in which you can keep that motivation activated and stay in commitment to your artistry. If you no longer feel motivated, ask yourself, has your reason changed? Has your reason why you are doing art to begin with changed? And if it has, journal about that. Be open about that. Express that, create within that energy and see what that feels like. And yeah, motivating yourself is simply just saying, I have a commitment to myself. I can fucking do this because I care about me enough to want to go after the thing that I want to go after. If your motivation right now is to get in a gallery space, then get up every day and create series of artwork. Okay, get up every day and have a storyline to whatever your creations are. If your motivation right now is to make money from your artwork, are you getting up every day and making content for your artwork to be pushed out there to the world? There's nothing wrong with being motivated by the money, but making sure you are implementing practices that allow your work to be showcased to other people. Is your motivation to be well known as a content creator? Are you getting up every day and making content? It doesn't have to be every day, mind you. But are you implementing practices? Are you implementing that 85%, 25%, and 95% every day or every other day that goes toward what that goal is that you have in mind? And that is simply what motivation is. What is your reason why? And are you implementing the practices every day to get to that thing that you desire? So if you have made it to the end, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching. If you're interested in our Patreon, the first month is up and we are speaking about releasing shadows this month. So releasing our shadows to the things that keep us from doing the things that we want to do in our lives, right? If that is something that you're interested in, feel free to go to the Patreon and subscribe. I hope you have an amazing day, and let me know, did this video motivate you? And what are some ways that you are implementing practices that keeps you motivated as an artist? So until the next episode, I will see you guys later. Bye.